Hello, my friend. It's Spiritual Medium Paleki, and I hope that you have been well and being gentle with your soul. And I'm just here to answer some of your questions about death and dying. And today's question is, how do I know that my departed loved one is with me or visiting with me? Now, there are a couple of ways that you can actually tell that your deceased loved one is in the room with you or that they're trying to send you a message. And I'm going to tell you some of the main ones that they'll use. So one of the first ones that you can tell that a loved one is with you is that you'll randomly think about them. So this is not just like I've been thinking about them or you're trying to pay attention to your loved one. It's going to be randomly that they pop into your head. So you might be doing something like watching TV or washing the dishes, and this random thought of your loved one pops in your head. That's normally going to be when they're trying to get your attention or they're with you visiting you. So they'll actually just pop right in out of the blue. And it might be a thought that you've done something with them in the past, or it might be something randomly that you haven't thought about in a really long time. That will be their way of trying to get your attention to let you know that they're with you, or they're trying to remind you about something that you went through when you were with them in the past. Now they might do something like flick the light. So you might get that happening where the electricity, they can play with that. So it's going to be something very specific though. So it might be something to try get your attention, but anytime they're going to do something that is going to be very specific as a way that is going to stand out. So it won't be something just randomly like the lights are going to flick. It's going to be the lights are going to flick when you've been thinking about them, or again, the lights are going to flick and that thought of them is going to pop in your head as a way to get your attention. You might smell something. So you might pick up on a scent from them. So it could be something, if they were a very heavy smoker, you're going to walk in a room and you're randomly going to pick up on the smell of cigarettes, even if you yourself are not a smoker. You might get something like their favorite song starts playing on the radio, or a very specific song that you had might be on your phone, and then randomly the phone just starts playing that song. So it could be something very specific like that. Children and animals, so especially babies or animals, tend to be very perceptive or very receptive to receiving messages from the dead. So you might get something like your dog or your cat just randomly stares off into the room or stares at a very specific place in the room. And that means that you might have a dead loved one visiting with you and they're picking up on them and they're actually staring off at them. So it can actually happen sometimes with dogs or cats that if they don't recognize the animal that passed, they could actually get a fright from that animal and then they respond to it. So they might actually growl at them or they might hiss at them. It doesn't mean that it's a negative spirit. They might just not recognize that one. So sometimes you just have to calm them down and let them know that they're safe. So it's not necessarily that they're reacting to it. Sorry, Jax is trying to knock over the phone here. So it might be that they're not actually trying to scare you, but rather that they're just trying to visit with you. So just so that you are aware of that. And lastly, they can also bring you messages in your dreams. So you might pick up on something that you actually see the dead loved one, or you might actually just get this random thing where they actually come through and visit with you and speak to you. So there's different types of dreams that the dead loved ones can bring to you. So it might be a quick little visitation, or it might actually be a long, more complex visitation through your dreams. But each spirit's going to pick their own way that they want to bring you messages. It just depends on the soul. And if you don't feel like you're receiving signs or messages from your loved one, don't worry about that. I tell people the rule of thumb can sometimes be 6 months to a year after a passing. They'll sometimes hold back on their messages that they're sending you because they're giving you time to grieve and heal and let the energy settle. So that is quite normal. If you haven't been receiving the messages you think you're supposed to be getting, don't worry about that. That is quite normal. And if you feel that you're still not getting the messages, make sure that you do say to your loved one, bring me the messages, make sure that they're very obvious so that they stand out to me and I recognize them. And even if you think it's going to upset me, that's okay. I still want you to send me the messages because again, they may be guarding and protecting you in order to make sure that they're not going to upset you, because again, they've passed home fine and they're safe now, but they're doing it more on your behalf so that they're not going to disrupt you. So I hope that does give you a small explanation of some of the ways the dead can communicate with you. And if you have any questions about the dead or death and dying, please do pop it down in the comments, and who knows, I might answer your question in the next video. Thanks so much, my friend. Have a great day, and you be well.